appreciate you guys. Happy Sunday to everyone. Thank you for joining the live. You guys come on in. I give you a minute to come on in. You see the topic, pay to play. Uh, Seems like that's the way things are going around here, or at least down in DC anyway. So toast it up. If you're able to get you a seat at the table, of course it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you. All right. But so I was just taking a look at let me give it a second here. Let my drinks get cold and splash the ice hit it. Let the ice hit it. Before we make the deal. Usually you go out and before you do a big deal and stuff. You sit down, you leg, you get good, comfortable in the seat, and you make the deal. Usually it's over a dinner. All right, so those dinners are expensive. When you're trying to just push the envelope. When you're trying to push the envelope, right? That's what this discussion is about. How this administration pushes the envelope. How deals are made, okay, and the corruption, and it's a lot. We're gonna uncover a lot here, okay. So before we get into it, do me a favor, smash that like button, man. Wait for a couple more people to come on in, and then we'll get going. I gotta let the ice. You can't. You can't waste a good drink. It's got to be the right temperature. But yeah, this is really going into 2027. Well, I wouldn't even say going into 2027 because deals have already been made. But you got to pay to play these days. It seems like they're only accepting the cash money. But thank you guys for joining me. Hit that like button. And as we get into this discussion on pushing the envelope down in DC, okay, I'm gonna tell you something, man. If you got a cool meal, you might be able to get a deal. It's the truth. It is the truth, okay. But what's been uncovered is a lot of fraud, a lot of corruption, and I'm gonna let you hear something really quick, because they on that they on that ass, they on it.
16. But he's also betting that the public will just come to the conclusion that this is normal because all of our politics are this corrupt, that every senator, that every previous president is this corrupt. That is not true. Well, I disagree with my Senate Republican colleagues' decision to largely remain silent in the face of this misconduct. It is true that not a single senator on either side of the aisle engages in the behavior that our president does. Senators, Republicans, and Democrats do not trade our votes for cash or for political contributions. We don't run side hustles like crypto companies. Senators don't give contracts to their kids just because we can. And no president in the history of this country has done what Donald Trump has done. No president has done 5% of the self-healing that Donald Trump has done.
So look, you can see where this is going, right? But they're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna leave a link. I'm not gonna play much, but there's a couple of things I do want you guys to hear. and then we'll have the discussion about it. But this is the art of the deal. This is how you push the envelope. This is how they are pushing the agenda and the envelope. Pay to play, come on in, sit down, have dinner, slide that envelope across the table, and guess what? Make a wish. Make a wish, baby. And you'd be surprised. But they're about to put an end to that. Because they on that ass.
In the last year and a half. This moment is exceptional. It is a one-of-one moment. And if it becomes normal, if people stop being outraged at what he is doing to enrich himself, then I fear there is no going back. The White House will just become a place to get rich. So, isolated scandal after another.
Sorry about that.
Understand the full scope of this illegality. Last year, I came to the floor to document the first 100 days of Donald Trump's mind-blowing corruption. Since then, especially in 2026, the pace of his misconduct has quickened dramatically. And so I'm here on the floor today, and I'm going to spend more than a few minutes doing this, laying out what has happened since I gave that last speech. This is the story of 500 days of corruption.
and more than that, if you ask me.
On April 7th, 2020. This is when the current acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche, issues a memo ordering the termination of several Biden-era DOJ investigations into crypto companies. Now, here's the problem. The then Deputy Attorney General is a major investor in crypto companies, and he works for a president who is a major player in the crypto industry.
Marlena, how you doing, Marlena?
DOJ drops these investigations. Signals that the Department of Justice is no longer going to hold crypto companies accountable. But Blanche owns major investments in crypto stocks. The president is one of the biggest players in the industry. Blanche doesn't actually stop there. He eliminates the entire enforcement team at DOJ dedicated to rooting out crypto-related fraud and money laundering schemes.
And that's a fact.
A crypto investor who works for a president who owns crypto companies, shutting down the unit at DOJ that holds this industry accountable. Let's move to 3 weeks later, on April 30th. Later in the month, a curious announcement from the Department of Agriculture. They are reversing a rule that would require poultry companies to limit salmonella bacteria levels in their products. This is essentially a rule to make it less likely that people will get salmonella poison. Sounds like a...
And listen, this is why the reason I got this playing in the background. I want you guys to listen to this is because the fraud and the abuse, not to mention the waste of taxpayers' money, is so much corruption, you know. And then they talk about Elon, but we're going to get into him too. I'm only playing a small portion of this because there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. We did just talk on the Todd Blanche and invested with the Department of DOJ that investigated, you know, a lot of these crypto exchanges. But pay close attention because as you're noticing right now, what's going on in these markets, there's just a complete plummet of everything. There's a bigger scheme, plot, a lot of fraud and corruption happening that no one, well, it's all over the internet, but they're hoping that because it's so profound that you just like every day you hear another one, I hear another one. He's gone through the last 500 days of the corruption, where each month there's literally at least 3 to 4 different acts of fraud being committed by this current administration, from pardoning criminals to, um, you know, just giving out these contracts that should be open to bid to the open public, but it's not. And congressmen should be outraged because they're caught red-handed. A lot of them, they've been caught red-handed, except by undercovers accepting money, cash money. You can't be money laundering, AML, right? All those laws, insider trading. They are catching these guys left and right. And what is the president's response that he's going to pardon these people?
A strange rule to eliminate. We come to find out that one of the biggest donors to Donald Trump's inauguration was a poultry company called Pilgrim's Pride. They made a donation to Trump's inauguration that was bigger than practically any other company, bigger than Amazon, Meta, or Exxon, $5 million. And after they made the donation, they asked for one thing: the reversal of this salmonella rule. And they got it.
Now that's crazy because that's your food and my food that we eat, and if there's going to be salmonella in there, just like there's a lot of products that are sold here in the United States that can't be sold overseas. And I thought Robert Kennedy was going to be, spearheading the, get healthy, make Americans healthy again. When it happened to Robert Kennedy.
This is pay for play. You make a donation to the president for the president's political operation. You ask for a favor.
You get a drink. You come and sit down and have your drink. You pass the envelope across the table, and you wink that eye. You make a drink. You make a wish on that star in the sky, and it happens. Pay for play.
And again, you will see as we wind through these 500 days, this happens over and over again.
Over and over again.
In May 2005, the pardon racket starts. Every member of the Senate should be outraged at this. You all know what has happened. The president is pardoning people based on their ability to pay. Either him and his political operation, or pay people who are close to the president. On May 27th, Donald Trump pardons a man called Paul Walzak. This is a really bad guy. He stole millions of dollars from the nurses and healthcare aides at the nursing home he owned. And he used the cash that he stole from his employees to buy a $2 million yacht. He got convicted. He went to jail for fraud. But his mother paid $1 million to buy a face-to-face meeting with Donald Trump. And 3 weeks.
She sat down at dinner. They had some leg of lamb. It was a pretty expensive leg. Pretty expensive lamb. They had a sip in the toast. She drank the dark juice and he was drinking the white. She said, please let my baby out of jail. Yes, this is a very stupid topic because there should not be anything like this going on. So, unfortunately, we're sitting our stupid behinds around, right, letting it happen. People like yourself sitting around letting it happen instead of bringing awareness to it, right? Such a stupid group of people.
After that paid audience, her son was given a full and unconditional pardon that went so far as to relieve him of any duty to pay back the $4.4 million that he stole from his employees. This is a new pay for pardons scheme that begins in May. In June of 2025,
Gotta have some money, guys.
the top
Gotta have some
administration
money.
officials are cashing in on government contracts that benefit their own investment portfolio. Stephen Miller is more than just the architect of the administration's hardline immigration policies. He has a personal financial stake in them. For instance, Miller owns up to $250,000 in Palantir stock. In just a month before Miller's holdings became.
And this is for all you guys that are so overly concerned with the immigrations. Okay, Stephen Miller was the one that pushed for that Palantir, because remember when they were stopping the ICE agents, and how do they know that you're who you say you are, right? How do they know that you're who you say you are? Excuse me. They got that contract to be able to take pictures of the people that they were going after, and that their facial image, facial recognition would tell who they were and the background thing about them. So it's crazy to think of, how a lot of this stuff is just continuing to like spiral out of control in DC, man. And nobody's talking about it. They talk about it, but then again, it gets swept under the rug because something else new comes up.
Public ICE announced that it was awarding a $30 million contract to, you guessed it, Palantir, to provide real-time surveillance information to ICE officers. And you'll be shocked to hear this. There was no competitive bidding process for that contract. You'll hear this over and over again. Competitive bidding basically doesn't exist. If the president or somebody close to the president wants a contract directed to a friend,
shout out to Motivated to
Motivated
to 2010.
ICE gives a no bid contract to Palantir.
How's everything?
Investors in Palantir include Stephen Miller, get rich.
Oh, they're getting rich. They're pushing the envelope. We got to push the envelope on that book. Go check out her book, you guys. She's got a new book.
The danger of Donald Trump's crypto corruption. I covered this in the first 100 days of corruption. Maybe the most corrupt thing that Trump was doing. He and his family own a crypto company that issues several crypto coins. There's no disclosure on who's buying those coins. The president promotes them. He invites people to official events who purchase the coin.
Of course, they all come sit down. They have a drink. They pay $100 million a piece. They know, hey, we're going to the moon. You guys, everybody get some of this, some of that. Fraud, waste, and abuse, man. Scamsters. That's all it is. I mean, a lot of these senators, they're all going to be getting locked up very soon. You better watch congressmen, senators, state representatives, everybody. You can't pardon everybody, right? So I'm so glad that they're speaking about this. Okay, this is Senator Chris Murphy. He's one of the senators, that's actually standing up and bringing some awareness, which I know people are just gonna, there's another headline of some kind of corrupt deal going on. He's gonna try. Well, he does make the comment. He says he's gonna pardon anybody within 200 feet of the White House. This is what Donald Trump said. I will pardon anybody within 200 feet of the White House. Yeah, it's definitely this is what's happening in the White House, and They just want everybody to just come on in and drink up and just turn into one of them. You know what I'm saying? It's what they are hoping for. They want all the politicians that have their morality to just drown all of that, drown it in a bottle somewhere, and just we'll pay you, we'll give you money, you'll be rich before it's all over. You're gonna be locked up. It's gonna be somebody that's gonna come, they're gonna investigate and everything, you're gonna lose everything. So the other one, there's another one. I want to play a little more of this, but I don't want to play the whole thing because I don't want to get copyrighted things. You know what I'm saying, for YouTube, because you know how YouTube is. But I'm gonna try to get to the one thing about the border czar guy, because they just got a new border czar, right? They just got a new border czar. What happened to the last guy? What happened to the last guy? The guys have the big man looks, and if you don't like it, we still coming for you. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this and this, and I forget his name, man. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'll put the link for this right here. So, um, but the border czar. What was his name? Was it Homan? Might have been Homan. That he got busted by undercover agents. Go figure. Accepting a bag full of money. I forget how much it was, like 50,000 or something like that in cash. Um, what for? What was he doing? He was doing something. He was doing something. I watched this whole thing, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play some parts of it as we have the discussion, because there's so much stuff. It's so much stuff to unpack. Yo, these people they are going to have their day. Believe me, for what they're doing. And a lot of the senators and things, you hear about earlier in the year when, because it said, the insider trading and all of that that's been going on and stuff, oh, they all do it. Um, there was something that they said that it had to do with, what's that computer? Not, I gotta hear it, Pat. Dell computers. Um, oh, well, we already know that there was insider trading with Dell because Trump went over there and he announced that, hey, go out and get a Dell. Well, he had bought like $4 million worth of their stocks like a few days before that, and then it shot up. And so he been doing that, manipulating markets. That's what they do. Any president can do that. Any president can get on the microphone, on the podium, and say something that will, you know, cause the, you know,
On September 18th,
that can cause the markets to, and they all warn them about that anyway. It's not, so it doesn't surprise me that a you know a president, and yes, he is insane. It doesn't surprise me that a president can tweet something or make a statement um, that moves markets. Um, they've always had that ability to be able to do that. So, when they do it, and it's to their advantage, and then you go and you relook, take a deeper look at their portfolios and stuff like that. You know, a lot of they're not supposed to be buying shares and stuff like that of different stocks that that their team regulates, but they do it anyway, right? I don't think any of us are shocked by what happens, but that's what they're banking on, because they want to riddle you, they want to riddle the American people, they want to riddle us with so much of this corrupt um, mob style, um, that's their way of running the country. You know, hey, he doesn't have to say it. There's a cabinet member that's, say, Sean Duffy, who's over the FMCSA, okay, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration for all commercial vehicles, right? And I pay close attention to that, and he even is taking and going on a not world tour, but cross country tour vacation. Um, well, yeah, people are saying they're not going to vote. But these officials, these people, you know, in these departments, heads of these departments, they came in, they cleaned house, they said it's like a regime change, right? Then, boom, like Sean Duffy, he runs FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, which regulates the motor carrier safety, big rigs and trucks and transportation department and stuff. So um, they're not supposed to be being, um, you're regulating the trucking industry, but you have, what is it? Not Kentworth, or well, you have Ford, you have, what's that? That make those engines, those motors. Cummins, Ford, GM, and those corporations, paying for your vacation. You can't do that. You can't do that. That right there, a politician should be resigning his position when they discover that the same people that your department regulates is paying for your vacation. That's a no go. So, um, like, far as ethics, there's an ethic committee that these people should have to sit in front of. That's when they bring them in front of the ethic committee and stuff, and they have to testify, before Congress, before the ethics board. Like, how are you going on vacation and Cummins paying for it, but you regulating them? How are they paying for your vacation, right? People are so turned off, feels that it doesn't matter, but it does. Yeah, we must vote. People are talking about not voting, but we have to vote. And uh, this is corruption at its finest. Um, we do have to vote. You do have to go and vote. The thing about it, what they're scared of is you voting them out. They're afraid of that, and they want to try to, use authority or make it as though they have this authority to do these things. But, and this is the thing about the law, the long arm of the law, you guys, right? It's going to take some time. Your vote does count. There will be a change of, you know, a change of power. There's going to be that transition. And then when the new administration gets into office, you're still going to see a lot of the uh, laws and things on the books that they done came and, because they done splashed it up and changed it up. It's going to take sitting back down, you know, re-evaluating and lobbying to make change, and it will happen, but it's going to take time. So you can't lose faith in your voice or in the vote, that process. This is what they want you to do. This is what these corrupt people want. They pay a lot of money to try to trick you to believe that you don't have a voice. They pay a lot of money. They pay to play dirty. They pay to play dirty. All right. These people are coming and sitting down with the most crooked of people in charge who have say, and they're paying them. Hey, man, turn a blind eye to what I did, man. You know, can I get exonerated for, those crimes that I committed? Why do you think there's such a big conspiracy to cover up everything that's in those files? I'll let you think about it. See, if I was sitting at the table on the other end, I wouldn't budge on these people. They would come, they would give all this money, and they'd leave with their heads. Sorry, I can't help you. Next. um, my mic keeps going. Oh, okay. My mic keeps going out. But yeah, that's what what's going on over in DC right now, man. This was just done. This was Senator Murphy had this up here. This is he had over 11,000 comments. I'm gonna link this in the description, man. Y'all go check this out, man. Y'all go check this out, man. You know, this is and it says the title for this one is it has to do with the 500 days of corruption, Trump's corruption. Now, I know something is brewing right now because as we lead up to the 250th anniversary of this United States that we live in, something is brewing. I said that before, you know, somebody somewhere sitting down, man, discussing what's going to happen. Actually, a lot of things like they have the big fair and all that going down over there. That stuff has been planned, has have been planned for some years because they knew it was going to be eventually, I guess they're saying it was supposed to be a whole week of the carnival or the fair or whatever over there. And, once this current administration had got into office, that whoever was going to show up to that fair, just like they have all these other things, people start pulling out. They're like, nah, we ain't want to have nothing to do with this dude or with this administration. Actually, we were signed up a few years ago because leading up to the 250th anniversary of the country, we were going to show up and and support, but they don't want to really have. So a lot of the vendors and things. There's some of you showing it online. It's like the place is pretty much a ghost town. Like it's set up to hold or entertain or there's a considerable amount of people were expected to come. Nothing close. Nothing close. And that's mainly because of what all is going on right now with the country. Um, you know, and it's sad. You got these people that are just frauding, people that are sickly, elderly, children, disabled, veterans. Um, they're pardoning all these hardcore criminals, trying to cover up some of these people's, um, you know, the victims. What about the victims for these criminals, like these people, right? There's some big names too, man. I don't want to say too many names and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not for fear of backlash or anything, because you know what? I don't care about these people. I mean, I'm saying, well, we should pray for them. Yeah, that part there, you know. So they do need it, but sad that we have to deal with this, and we are going to deal with this as a nation. You know what I'm saying? The people are going to come up against this, and this is the thing that they fear right now. You see a lot more, like the kid that he's on trial for taking that guy of the insurance company. What is his name? Luigi. I forget who he is. You see more and more people, you know, who are standing up and fighting these big oligarch, multi, you know, multi-billion-dollar corporations. I mean, Elon Musk worth like one trillion, 2 trillion, or something. Not trillions. Serious? And people still can't afford to buy groceries. They're not going to hear the end of this. You know, I mean, you should have kept that to yourself. You should have kept that to yourself. You know, you out here letting everybody know you know, jumping around on stage and doing all this other crazy stuff because you know what I'm saying, you done sat down, you paid to play, you splashing it up. You know, you know, you're gonna rub that in the people's face rather than go out here and try and do some humanitarian acts. And a lot of them, like, you know, they be going over to South Africa and these parts, these countries and nations where it's third world, and to make it look like they're doing humanitarian acts, but they really over there grocery shopping, if you know what I mean. They over there grocery shopping. Shout out to the UK people. Anybody from the UK, give me a shout out if you. So, but you know, I'm just trying to get the word out there. So you guys, I appreciate you guys for joining. Appreciate you for coming in here and you know, letting me, you know, share this information with you because it's on the internet. It's on the internet. Sometimes we don't look at certain things because you know this isn't clickbait. This is not pay to play clickbait. I'm trying to tell you, you know, like, well, you already know what's going on pretty much, but some of the people that's involved. So, see, what happens is we get these short term memories, and you know, the thing that might have made us kind of moved us to want to vote made us a little upset. Say, I'm going out to vote, man. This got to stop. Then something else comes along, get your attention, and you know, it fades from our memory. So I just want to try to make sure that we, you know, we all are being kind of you hit that refresh button so that we know, you know, that you know this is what they're doing. This is how they're pushing the envelope. This is why you know we're suffering the way we are. This is why a lot of the bills and things that you know we seeing, you know, big hedge fund corporations buying up real estate and driving the cost of housing up. You know, like they're doing all of this stuff because they're sitting down trying to create this agenda that's going to, you know, stomp out the average, you know, American. All right. And then, you know, with these, so the birthright laws. And I mean, you could go on and on and on. You talk about this stuff. It's like, I don't even believe stuff like this is even actually happening. But this is happening here in this country. The American people seem to just be allowing it. Like, did you drink the Kool-Aid or something? Did you drink? I mean, I wouldn't even go to dinner with these guys and drink what they're giving you. Yeah, come on, sit down. You're gonna sit down for dinner. So you bring $1 million to dinner to be able to have dinner because it costs to sit down, right? Show up with $1 million and let them poison you. You went to the dinner and you didn't come back the same. It was a little happy, but you know, a little like he had a little too much juice, bro. You know, let them people fool you, man. What you drink, what you sip, and they're like, yeah, what's you? May I get your order, sir? No, I'm just here to talk business. You know, I gave him $1 million. I need to know he's gonna do what I asked him to do. I gave 5 million. I'm not now. No, but then he's like, no, drink the juice, sip it. You know, at least have a drink, have a few laughs. You don't catch somebody laughing like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's sad because you can't even go. Can't even go out to dinner with the people in Congress, man. Something might happen to you. Something might happen to you. You got to see servicemen and all these other things. And I got a question. Where's that old man that was where is he at? Anybody seen this guy? He fell before. He fell. I knew he fell. What was his name? He's old in his 80s. He should be out of there. Out of there. Where's he at? What is his name? Anybody know his name? He's a senator or a congressman. He's a congressman. What is his name? The old guy. He get up to the mic and stand there and just be standing. You don't even know what to say. Or he can't get the words out. And he's still in power. Let me tell you something. They're afraid that the next generation is going to vote these people out and get them out. These next generation people that are going to vote, like these younger people, they don't care about the millions and billions. They don't want that money. A lot of them, they may stand to inherit some of this money from some of their people and stuff like that. But they really don't care for it. They really are concerned about the country as a whole. They're more and see they're afraid of these people. They're afraid of these young people. They're afraid of them. And that's why they give big platforms to some of those younger people that are kind of the bigots, the 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 judges and the people like that. They give them big platforms because they are hoping and praying that they can get that whole next generation to follow that. But you see what's happening to these guys, man, that's doing that, man? They're running into a cold brick wall. I just heard that there was some people down in Atlanta, Georgia, bro. Two guys running around out there in the hood like they ain't got no sense, feeling like they just could go. I don't know whether you're trying to blog or trying to live stream something, and you in some all white suits, Klansman suits, and go run up in the hood somewhere. And man, you know what happened to them dudes, bro? All because, like I said, they giving this administration, these old people that they trying to hold on to power by they not letting it go. They want to stand up at the podium. You can't even talk, bro. You really literally are. They always used to talk about Joe Biden. There are people that are worse than what Joe Biden's situation was, and not making any kind of negative statement about the man, but his health was deteriorating to a point where he didn't need to be running the country. And so you got a lot of other congressmen that are in the same boat, like they're there. And why are you still putting this person up in front of the podium to speak? Why you gotta have like somebody stand next to him and try to be like, all right, come walk, get him to move. He won't move, just stand there like what's he doing? Using the bathroom on himself? Like what's he doing? Like why? This country, we deserve better. We deserve better leaders than that. Not saying that he, taking anything from him, but I do or don't agree with um, maybe he wasn't bipartisan. Maybe he wasn't, on the left or on the right or whatever. But you too old to even be picking a side right now. You need to go somewhere and get some, you need to go somewhere and get like take a vitamin or something. You know what I'm saying? Go somewhere, stay hydrated. You know what I mean? Like you too old to be up here, bro. You brain fogged out, literally. And then they got all them lights. I know they got lights in there. That probably got him like a deer in the headlights. He's standing there. What was he getting ready to say? Well, he gonna read the prompter? He can't even see. That's the blind to the man eyes. Like, yeah, I did that man dirty. That's probably torture to him. You know, he probably doesn't even ask to go to the press conference. They just dragged him out the bed and told him he gotta go. So they are making these people hold their positions for fear that they'll be voted out by somebody with some morals and with some sense. Right? All the positions, it's just like a seat that's open. It's like, all right, we gotta get that seat. We're gonna try to get that seat, that Senate seat. We need more people in that seat. And them people that's in them seats, they making them hold them seats. Them people probably want to resign and probably tie. They have them probably not even showing up. I heard a lot of them don't even show up to the daggone Congress, man. A lot of them don't even come in. They don't come to work because they're too old. So if they're too old to show up, and this is the other part, right? This is the other crazy part. If they're too old to show up, but they can still, they just disregard all the rules and try to enrich themselves now, right? But at one time, they had the ethics committee, and they kind of, wouldn't cross certain lines. But now, the older they get, they don't care to cross them lines, right? Yeah, I'm just gonna make the deal. I'm just gonna give the money to the people. I'm just gonna steal the money from these people. They should not be able to hold those seats for. They should have term limits. They should have term. They should have been, you know. And here's what I say about term limits. Okay, let's just for a second look at a couple. Let's just look at um, when what's that new president of that? I know Zelensky is the president of Ukraine, and if you look at Zelensky, you see when he came over to the White House and how he was sitting down with Trump, and Trump was telling him, "You don't have anything. You don't have no cards. You can't make anything." He says, "Yes, but America, you're going to learn one day, sooner or later." And see, I understand that man, you know, standing up for his country the way he is. Um, but look at his physical shape. That's the president. Me is my opinion. See, if they take my opinion, which they probably won't. They probably won't. I'm pretty sure they won't. They're not even gonna. I have to pay like a couple $100 million to go sit down and have a few drinks. And I'll bring my own drink. I'll bring my own drink, sir. Don't worry, I'll bring my own bag. You ain't gotta give me. I don't want nothing y'all got to give me. I'll bring my own. Right? BYOB to the sit down. I'll pay you guys. As a matter of fact, I'll just bring my own food. Right? To the dinner table. Sit down and talk about it, and then I'll tell you what I think. Because they probably won't like what I have to say anyway. They're like, look, you either need to pass an agility test, you need to be able to run at least a couple, not a 50 yard dash, a 50 yard dash. Can you run a 30 yard dash, 20 yard dash? If you're now when Obama was in office, that man could shoot a 3 pointer. That man a dunk on you. You need somebody that can pretty much be able to compete with that. You need somebody that's able to compete with that. I had a video of him where he shot a 3 pointer and um, from the sideline. He hit a 3 point jump, boom, boom, and then he walked away. He was like, "That's what I do." And Joe Biden was with him. At the time, Joe was his vice president, and Joe had the mask on. He was walking. I looked down. I was like, "Why am I here?" Oh no, son. But he was like, "That's what I do. That's what I do." So we need that type of representation. Somebody that has that type of oomph, still in him. Not a person that gets up to a podium standing there and look like there's a deer in the headlights, and he also looks old, like he can't even, he done fell. I think that's Mitch McConnell. I think his name is Mitch McConnell. That's Mitch McConnell. Where is Mitch? Is he even still alive? That's the question I would like to know. Mitch McConnell. It's Mitch. Mitch is in his 80s. He might even be in his 90s. You're gonna mess around in here in a few days. I heard that he's somewhere in some, I don't know, because I think Mitch was a speaker at one time, Speaker of the House. You know, and their biggest fear is who's gonna replace them. And a lot of the ones right now that might be um, trying to run for office to get that seat, you know, they're younger politicians. They're younger. They have totally different views. I'm sorry, they really do. They have really totally different views about how the country should be ran. That the country it should be open to, you know, all nationalities. You know, a lot of them. That's like Manzani up in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like they're afraid of these type of politicians. You know, because you know they're not given the, you know, that they're not given that um, how I say it, and I don't want to say it to offend anyone because I don't want to be viewed as someone who has racist tone, because you know one side is racist, so that's basically it. They're not; these people are not viewed as racist. You know, they don't. A lot of these people that might be running for office, these younger ones, they don't feel the need to divide people by color. You know, and feel to maintain power and superiority through skin color. You know, so these younger people now that are going to be coming into office, they're a threat to everything that these elite oligarch, big billionaire, corporate, um, white supremacists, their whole agenda. They're a threat to that, and they're looking at them like, we don't want you in our country, or you need to, you know what, you need to start paying your taxes. You need to start paying, you know. And they're afraid of that. They are afraid of that. They don't, but you know, but it's just a matter of time, man, for they wind up going down for the crimes that they've committed, that they're held accountable to the American people and on the world stage, and they lose their power. It's just a matter of time. Let me know what you think, you guys. Appreciate you for joining me. I'm your boy Swizzy. Just had to have that discussion. I'm gonna leave a link. I'm gonna put the link for this video so you guys can go check it out. Hopefully, it resonates with you, and you will find, you know, Senator Murphy he's one of the stand-up guys in Congress still, right? And I have to agree with him. I'm definitely on his side. A lot of these people, they just need to be thrown in jail. You know, a lot of their properties and a lot of that stuff that needs to just be, um, it needs to be taken and donated to, you know, to the people that they stole money from. And that's just it, man. That's just it. We'll be able to try to rebuild, you know, um, the government, because the government has been destroyed by this administration. This administration has destroyed our federal government. you know. And it's you have local and state the state levels that are still holding strong. You know what I'm saying? And that fight right there, like these federal, they usually try to come in, oh, federal supersedes state. It's going to be a lot of. It's going to be. There's going to be a lot of. Going to be a lot of going back and forth with that in a minute. But um, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think, man. I'm around for you, man. This platform's here. You guys, let me know what you think. All right. I appreciate you for joining me. Thank you for hitting that like button. Thank you for all the comments. Shout out to Motivated and everybody else that was here. Motivated 2010. These other people. So Marlena and all the rest of the people. All right. I thank you guys for joining me. I'm gonna go through all of that right there, but yeah. So show up in November, man. I mean, I'm not saying vote Democrat. I'm not saying vote Republican. I'm not saying vote, liberal or whatever. I'm not telling nobody what to do. You just got to find out that you got, make sure you voted for the right person for the job that wants to make changes and is not trying to, run the country with a pay to play, ordeal. You know, there's never been a backdoor to get politics and stuff like that. They usually have to come through, by your votes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? By by way of fair and clean, debate and stuff like that, man. You gotta be fair and clear to let the people know this. That's why they always have the debates. Let's debate. If you don't like something, let's let the people vote. You know what I'm saying? Let's let the people hear what we got to say. Not no, oh, nah, I'm just gonna do this because you say so. No, you're doing it because you got paid. You're pushing that envelope because you got paid. Hey, do this, do that. You tell people what to do. You give them that. Go. Right? They paid for it. Now go. That's not the way to run a country, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because the more corrupt people that have money, then they calling the shots, and this is what we have to put it into. So, they say to the good life, right? Welcome to the good life. All the money ain't gonna get you out of the trouble you're gonna get yourself into one day. I'll tell you that much. Money can't buy everything, man. Can't buy everything. It compensates for a lot, but it can't buy you everything. And these people, they on your ass, man. Y'all gotta be worried about them. All y'all at the top gotta be worried about the people you stepped on. What make you think that you're not it's not going your fate ain't gonna come for you. It's got people that the secret society dudes, man. They're gonna be turning on each other eventually because somebody gonna have an awakening. Somebody gonna be like, man, I'm not going down. No. Don't say a word. You better not say nothing. You know, Some of these guys are gonna fold, man. They ain't gonna. I mean, yeah, no, nah, man. So and so, you gonna hold water. Okay, all right. Well, we'll find out. You let me know what you think. Appreciate you for joining me. I'm your boy Swizzy. This is about an hour now. Yeah, there we go. Peace out, y'all. Have a blessed Sunday, the rest of the day, and let me know what you think, man. Would you pay to play? Would you spend that $1 million to go sit down? Or if you ain't got it, then what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You're gonna vote. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna get out there and you're gonna vote.